And there we go. Can you hear me, sir?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome.
So are we coming through fine?
It looks like it, yeah.
Perfect. Let me get this heater off. You're probably wondering, why does he have heater on over here and we're melting over there?
Yeah, we've got natural heat.
Yeah, it's actually summer outside. Well, it's winter, but it's sunny outside, yet it's cold. We're in the middle of winter here in New Zealand.
Oh, that's going to be nice.
It's kind of weird. It is. And before we start, I just want to thank you for coming on. And for everybody who's watching, thank you for waiting around, because I've been trying this new thing, like just setting it up. And, it takes a bit of time getting used to the technology stuff. And I'm still getting there.
Right.
I should get somebody in to set it up for me, but that, okay, costs, right? And we're trying to make comics here.
Yeah.
Yep. So thank you guys for joining us today. This is, of course, PlungeCast. This is for all ages. I wanted to have Austin on because he's part of Rising Sun Comics, but he's also, he reminds me of this dude. Can you see that? He does, doesn't he? Seriously, Old Man Logan. He could easily play Old Man Logan. I thought about that. I was looking at these images all week, and I was thinking, yeah, he kind of does. So
if I had the healing factor, that'd be great.
Yeah, it's. I mean, if you hit a bit more on top.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
I can't complain.
Yeah, so I say too hot for a hat for me.
Yeah, I can't with that one. It gets too cold up there. All right, so for you guys joining us, I'm here in New Zealand, and Austin's over there, and wherever he is in America, I've forgotten. And I'm going to ask him Oakland. So I'm going to ask him a ton of questions, sir, like we do. The first hour, as always, is just about background. Second hour, we go into pop culture, all the things that excites him. He gets into passion about the industry, comics, whatever. So I'm quite excited for this one because I've known Austin's name through Rising Sun Comics for the last 6 years, but we've never actually talked or anything. So it's great to have that. Have him on. Plus, I had a comment early on that I want to put up. Someone you might know.
Oh yeah.
Would you like to respond to that first?
Been a long time. Haven't seen him. Well, I mean, I see him on Facebook from time to time, but yeah.
Yeah,
we did a lot of work for him with a lot of the Rising Sun, old school G.I. Joe stuff, back in the day.
Yeah, if I remember, Jamar, he's one of the originals, isn't he, from Rising Sun?
Yeah, the OG.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another comment, and then I'm gonna let you go and do your go into your bio, and then we'll go from there. So I found the Austin Brooks website on my phone. I can only see the pencil work you've done, but nothing else. Might be my old phone.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, because I've not really had those kind of comments before. Everything else seems to show up.
All right, thanks guys for that. And like you saw there, leave comments, ask questions, keep the conversation going, and let's get on with it. So thank you so much for joining in, and also please like and subscribe on YouTube. We need your subs. Like, I need water. I'm dying of thirst here, so I have 2 of them. Right. So, Austin, please tell us about yourself a bit. Give us what you've been doing and where you're from and stuff, and then we'll get into it.
Well, see, I've been in Oklahoma for maybe about 10 years or more now. Was originally from Illinois. Started illustrating when I was young, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6, just kind of scribbling and doodling. I guess it kind of was mind-blowing to most people back then, and I just kind of did it for fun, and entertainment and whatnot. And people had me draw at family reunions, birthdays, that kind of thing. Oh, he can do this and he can do that, ask him anything. And I get the same thing through school. So it just kind of kept on going and going and going. And I think it was the cartoon world, old school G.I. Joe, Transformers, Turtles, Ghostbusters, stuff like that kind of got me drawn in even more with the art. Then later on, I picked up the comic books, and that really sparked things. I was like, oh, I got to start drawing like these. And so I moved from kind of like a balance between cartoon and comic book art. And I've just been keeping with it ever since, throughout high school and whatever. And I did a little bit of college with it. And I've been doing a lot of freelance art, contract work, commissions. There's a lot of different, there's a couple of different independent companies I've been with as well, in and out. And, but when I was found by Rising Sun was when I really picked up on the steady work, as far as the books, and did a lot of the G.I. Joe stuff, the nonprofits, which was really entertaining. And then we gradually moved into the Armadillo Justice, and that's when it really kicked in and was really steady with it. And right now, I still do the occasional commission books, for a couple of different independent companies, trying to wing out on my own as an artist. Not so much in the comics world, but trying different angles. Gotten really interested in the children's book art. I've got a few things there I'm trying to work on and advance with. I'm still working on my computer skills, which is where I really need to brush up on. And a lot of logos, but my wife and I have a little small business. We're working on WB designs and illustrations, and we do things like logo art and T-shirt and a lot of different things. I can probably get that link up at some point in time. But yeah, like I said, it's right about now. I'm dabbling between the comic books, children books, art, and logos, and like I said, just trying to get my own thing going so I can start out on my own. I guess that's kind of it in a nutshell for the most part. Draw, draw, draw.
All right. Hey, let's talk about the children's book just before we start into the comics and stuff. Because I've been thinking about that lady myself. Like, it's kind of I think it's like, if you don't know what you really are doing, it can be quite difficult, because I've been trying to get my head around it. It's like, how would you write it's only like a couple pages of actual story. It's not like a long, 22 pages of comic book. And I'm like, but I still can't figure it out how I would do that.
Right.
But,
Yeah, it is quite different. I mean, and believe it or not, I can almost find it to be a little more challenging at times than the comic books. I mean, I guess it's because I'm so bogged down with the script and then the details of comic books, whereas the children book, like you said, you get a little bit of the reading and then trying to throw what you can with that one illustration per page, and get everything you can with the story in there. So it is a very big change, but it's something else that's been interesting to me for a good number of years. So I took some Vanessa, I forget her last name, but I took some courses through one of hers on Facebook, and I actually learned quite a bit more than what I did before. And I'm still trying to pick up and keep going with it. So hopefully I can get somewhere with the idea. And I've got some ideas that I've been kicking around with, but we'll see what happens there.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I grew up like, because I'm from Fiji, right? So when I moved over here into New Zealand, I was about 7, so about late 81 maybe. Yeah. And so around about 82, 81, I couldn't speak English that well. Really couldn't, because I'm from Fiji, so we're speaking Hindi all the time, and so I would get kind of like remedial classes, and my mum would pay a lady across the road to teach me how to read. So we'd be reading Clifford books, the Red Dog, stuff like that. So I got this real interest into reading because of that. I mean, my first introduction to comics, I think, might have been in Fiji when we were reading Goofy books. I didn't even know what they were. Like, my brain doesn't know what it is, because I'm, it's just something there. And, you're only 7 years old or something. And, especially in a different environment like Fiji, which is kind of like upmarket third world, really. It's not really first world. And so, I mean, the only person that had the comics was the shopkeeper's son, who was close friend of mine who basically had the same name as me. And, so we were quite close friends, but I didn't know what they were. I mean, I'd go to his place for the weekends, we'd play, in the dirt and make water trials and watch the water go through. So, you make those tunnels and stuff and you get your cars out. Yep. But I really didn't know how to read well. And so mum would pay the lady across the road. I didn't even know if she paid or whatever, or if she just said, can my son come over? Mm-hmm. And I did that for about a year. And then also when I went to primary school, right, I must have been like, I think I was pulled back a class because of my ability to read and so on. But I did that all the way until junior high. I think you guys call it in America. We call it, college here. It's like maybe middle school. It's like about when you're about 13, 14, 15.
Yeah, that's what they call it down here 15. In Oklahoma. Up north 50, it was junior high. Here it's middle school. So
right. So I'm 15 years old and I'm still doing reading, remedial classes, right? Reading at 15 years old. I come out of that, but all that time I'm still reading it at home. I'm reading Stephen King novels, right? I'm reading all this hard stuff because I'm really interested. I'm reading Conan. I'm really getting into reading. And from that, I get into slowly just doing my own, getting into reading, excited into this world because, suddenly, so all these books I'm reading that as a little kid is now allowing me to read big, books like this, Narnia and stuff. And I fell in love with Narnia and all this fantasy world, and I'm like, yeah. Right. But then you go back to like, how do I go back from that? How do I switch my brain from writing a 22 or 90-page script? I can easily do a 90-page script for a movie, right? Because that's what I've been trained in. But a 10-page children's book, that's what really got me when he said that. It's like, because I've been looking at, in town and thinking, all these kids' books. Yeah. Now, the other thing you mentioned was that you have a store, how did you go to decide to do that?
We're still, it's in construction right now. I mean, it is up, it is running, but my wife and I kind of looked at it and we're like, we think we can, tweak it, change it, add some stuff, change some stuff, make it even better. And I got the illustrated, they call it the banner up top and whatnot. It's her and I.
Yeah.
But it's artistic services, and contract, commission work and that kind of thing. But I said it's oh goodness.
I'm wondering because like a lot of indie creators, right? They do T-shirts. I know we're doing T-shirts.
Yeah.
Now, do you have a screen printing service?
We not for that part. No, I do have like the TeePublic, and I think there's another one, Storefrontier or something like that. But I get more hits on TeePublic, and a lot of the times it has to do with the particular material. Like I sell a lot of Ghostbusters, He-Man, even Beavis and Butthead styled art shirts. It's whatever's hot right now is what everybody's like. Oh, that's awesome because it's unique, different.
Yeah. So you're doing like limited runs of these things, or they print on demand. So whoever buys them, they own them, right? There's nobody else getting them. Yeah. That's awesome.
That makes it unique.
That's a bit like Kickstarter comics, isn't it? Like when you're buying the variant comics, you buy about 10 or 20 of them. But people who back them, that's all there is. And probably, I mean, of course, like the creator is going to keep a couple for himself, just so they can have a, part of their archives. Right. But I think, there is a need for, I think everybody should look at actually becoming small business owners, because that way, at least you don't get booted out of the company and go be made redundant. Right. And at a very young age, or the fact that you suddenly become unable to work in a regular job, and then you suddenly have to change your lifestyle again. So, you have to do something that's going to set you up and your kids up and to give you something more, than your, just your 9-to-5 job, because I think the economy is becoming really different. I've been watching the AI, what AI will bring, right? And this is not about the art side, but everything else, right? Because if a couple of years ago when they put in like automatic tellers, like the cashier machines, zip zaps.
Right.
You do it yourself. I was against it here because the people didn't realize that was taking away a job, and there were people who were happy. So I still don't go to that. It might be very minute time I'll go, but I always will stand in line and talk to the lady. But I also realize that they're making you purposefully go to those things because they make you wait longer. They do it slower than they used to do. Before, they're like, yeah, let's go. Hey, how are you? All right, next one, please. I was there the other day at what we'd call like maybe a Walmart, but our version of it, which is a warehouse. Right. 2 lines, only 2 people serving there, but there's like 3 at the over there looking after the computers, right? I mean the zip zap things, the automated things. And I'm thinking, this is weird. I've never been this long, and there's only 1 person to me, and they've only got 5 things, and this is about
taking forever.
5 to 10 minutes waiting. I'm sure they have a purpose to this. They've been told, but they don't realize that if you do that, that thing's going to take over your job. So I was watching, I think it's Edad Mostak or something like that, and he was just talking about how you got to adapt, And so I'm always about like telling creators, artists, whatever, just get into it for yourself, man. Learn business, know what you're doing, because it's not going to be, you don't realize that until it's too late sometimes, that if you don't, you got to put your neck out there, learn business. Don't let somebody else learn it for you. Learn business yourself. Now, let's talk about
trying to do.
Yeah. And how, what's it like being starting a business with your partner, with your wife?
It's awesome. It really is awesome. We've been best friends since day one, and we kind of just sat there and thought about it one night, like, hey, we've been buddies, been married all these years, why don't we try to see if we can start something together and do a business? She's got more of the business brain, and I got the little art skills and talents, but I'm still trying to develop she said, you need to know the business side too. So that's something else I'm still trying to develop.
Mike McNolly's wife, same thing, man. I watched a little interview with her, and he was just saying, I do the art, but she's got it, because she used to work for the other people, and now she's working for him. And she said, I can either make 100 cheap T-shirts or make 10 quality ones, and I'd rather have his work on 10 quality ones than on 100 cheap ones. Right. And I thought, wow, because his work is well recognized, right? And so on. So if she doesn't want anybody out there on his work on a crappy T-shirt. And the thing is, if art is valuable in the sense that people will buy it because they love it and they'll wear it. Like I'm like that. I'll wear it, and I'll pay the $45 or whatever it is, New Zealand, to get that one shirt. Like I wanted a Megadeth shirt I haven't had for years, and I finally got one. And he said, I don't have this size. I said, but he said, I'm going back home because I was at a festival last year. I'm going back home and I can get it. I said, yeah, you bring it. Here's my money. I don't care. I want that, And wearable art, like especially with clothing, is a way to promote your work hard. I don't think people understand that. When you're in a band and your name's out there,
it's walking all over the place.
Exactly. It's not sitting on a cupboard. It's not sitting on a shelf. It's not over there, and on the wall, but it's out there in the world, and that's amazing.
Walking in and out of houses, in and out of stores, all over the streets, and people are seeing it.
Yeah, and it's in your style, right? And they go, "Where'd you get it from?"
Yeah,
well, it's a one-off, mate. You got to buy. You got to order it to actually have it. It's not sold everywhere, and that adds its own uniqueness to it. And man, I think it's such an amazing world we live in. I just keep trying to say that to tell people, like, with such a huge access to the global market that we've never had, and be able to walk out there and just go, here's my work. Anybody in the world could have access to it. It's not sitting in a store, gathering dust maybe sometimes, but now it's there, and you got social media, tell everybody about it, and hey, even have a conversation with them about it. Like, here's what I'm doing right now. It's gonna be available soon. So this is the pencils. Now this is the colors, and this is the old when it comes out, this is how it's going to be on a t-shirt, and this is now I'm wearing it. Now you can order it. So fans pay you to carry your advertising around for you. Yeah,
that's one of the best
that's
ways.
it. That's basically it. I'm like, as a fan, I'm walking around carrying, Megadeth, Metallica, or whatever on my t-shirt. I'm carrying Spider-Man, or
Superman,
what was the other one I had the other day? Deadpool. Yeah, and of course Superman, right? And so I decided to paint my own logo, right? Alienated Alliance, right? So I hand painted it, because I'm like, yeah, this is my design. So I'm going to walk around. People might say, yeah, what's that about? So I got a comic coming out soon,
There you go.
And
I got a buddy of mine back home. He likes to order a lot of them, and he'll wear them all over the place. And that's what he's spilling my name and how to get to it. It's like, oh, where'd you get that? Here's his name. You go here and da. I'm just like, it's kind of like stalking, man. But he's like, but it works. I'm like, it does. It really does.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you got to, if you don't put yourself out there, who's going to do it for you?
Yeah, nobody will know.
And you got to build an audience, build a fandom. And I think that's the most important thing. But I'll talk about fandom later. Now, let's talk about how you talk about getting into comics, just starting by drawing and stuff. But what was the real motivation? Like, I mean, you talked a bit about how people kept getting you to draw stuff, but what was it that kept you at it?
Well, like I said, I started off with a lot of the Disney, Looney Tunes, Tailspin, Darkwing Duck, and then Bugs and Daffy kind of things, the Flintstones, and they were the simple, quick, kind of cartoony, goofy art. I was like, oh, it's fun, it's entertaining, and for me, it was just really quick. And that was another thing with my turnaround. I guess you'd say been legendary for my turnaround. As long as I got a script or I've got some sort of a description of what somebody needs or wants, I've had that photographic memory, just boom, I can just crank it out and there it is, done. And I guess the comic book world, back then was, the whole Wolverine, Spider-Man, the 80s style, and Batman and all that. I was really drawn in with the way they were illustrated, the colors, the way they popped, the blacks, the inks, the shadows. I was like, wow, this is like a lot of cool detail. And that was what it was. I guess it was the detail that just kind of mesmerized me. So, and I thought I was looking at my cartoon art, and I'm like, I want that to look cooler, more detail. So, and I think it's when I moved into Todd McFarlane with Spawn. I think I studied his work for about 2 years because I didn't even know how to ink my own pencils back in the day, unless I just drew with an ink pen, then I could draw it. But when I was really trying to get into how do they draw comics, I think this is when I first had my own little apartment. I'd go and I'd went to work or I'd get off and hang out with a couple of buddies for a little bit. Then I'd go home. I'd spend about 2-3 hours after studying some of the books I had from Spawn. I'd be doing up a bunch of pencils of mine, and I would have a good stack of them so far. I'm like, okay, well, let's just give this a shot, see how it's done. So I went and got the pens, and everything, and I started, of course, it wasn't just an overnight thing. It was I'd mess up a lot, scribble, scratch, okay, get rid of it, but I did that for, like I said, about 2 years. Every night before I went to bed was, trying to ink the work. And when I got to a point where I was like, okay, I can think I was doing it kind of like the way he's got it, and that's when my details, I guess, really evolved with the inking. So the pencil evolved into more details as the inking was, they were like connected together. And next thing I know, I was like, oh wow, I was like, this is turning out to be something cool. So then I started when the whole computer, I guess you'd say, kicked into gear. I think Deviant Art, or whatever it is, when it started up back in the day, I still have trouble with even getting into mine. I've been trying to contact them because they're going with an old email, so I can't even go in and readjust anything on my old page now. So what's there is just been sitting there for decades now. But I got in there, I just started plugging away and just throwing just tons of the work that I had. It was all old school, traditional, pencils, pens, inks, marker, a little bit of paint. It was all before the whole computer age of coloring. And I think that's when Jamar and Hawk, were surfing around, and that's when they found me, and they saw a lot of the just fan-made G.I. Joe art that I was throwing up there, and they're like, hey, would you be interested in drawing G.I. Joe comics? And back then I was like, it's like a dream come true, I was like, I'd love to, and that's kind of when that started, is next thing I know, I was getting a couple paychecks here and there to draw some G.I. Joe pages, and then it kind of just spawned on from there. And I said
that's about 20. Well, that goes back about 25 years almost, isn't it?
Yeah.
With our Rising Sun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a long time back. So it's
the heyday of internet. I think it was like gosh, I think they were the first fan comics, I think, if I remember, on internet, as like for they were actually putting out actual fan comics on the internet, from what I remember Hawk telling me. But I'll get him to talk about that some other time. Or I think there's actually a conversation I've actually had with them on here about the history of Rising Sun. But yeah, so Spawn 1991. Did you ever like get to meet Todd McFarlane and stuff, or
no, still not even still to this day. I mean, I've one of those, I guess you'd call just a drooling fan, starlight celebrity kind of thing. I follow him on Facebook, follow him on Instagram. I've sent, just little, hey, just for your amusement, check him out, images of some of the art I've done, or maybe just, the comments on some of his stuff. And never have heard the response or the interactions, which I mean, would be one of those mind blowing. When I get a response, from like what you call celebrity, I'm just like, wow, I was like, they actually paid attention. They read their stuff. That's awesome. So when you do it's kind of, I don't know, it kind of makes you light up. You're like, that's awesome. Somebody
that happened to me this week.
Really?
Yeah, I totally understand. Like I was making a coffee. I sent an email out. First, I sent a message to the YouTube channel that he was on, right? And then I went to make a coffee. My espresso's going, and I come back to just say, oh yeah, I'll just check what's going on. And I'm like, he replied, better turn this off, sit down. And I totally missed the last little bits he wrote, what time, when, what, and I just said, yes, I'd love to come on. I was like, that's all I need to know. Okay, here it is. And I'm like, he goes, but, he goes, you need to tell me what details. Sorry, was too excited. Yeah. I've had that moment even with Amanda Tapping from Atlantis, the super. What is that? Gosh, she's up there somewhere. Hold on, let me grab it. That way I'll remember.
I'm getting bad with a lot of the names of some people.
Yeah, that one, that lady, right?
Oh, okay,
yeah. So, Stargate Atlantis.
Yeah.
Right. So the English lady, and gosh, she's tall.
Yeah.
Right. She's like about this much taller than me. I'm like, so she's looking down at me. And it's like, hey, how are we going? I'm like,
Starstruck.
Yeah, I was a totally starstruck. It's the first time I actually got a photo with someone I actually admired, because I loved her. Loved her, and I think there's a show called there's another one about like monsters and stuff, and she's the headline of that as well.
Yeah.
Lead on that, and it was great. I love that. That's how I got to know her, was by watching that series, and then she got into Atlantis, and yeah, it was like she was just really nice, and I was like, how do I go hello, and just because she actually wants like a couple minutes of to just get to know me, and I'm like, I just don't know, because I'm at a convention, and I didn't expect this to be like, I thought it was just going to be shake hands, get a photo, get out of here, but it wasn't, and I thought it was really cool. I mean, I paid about 40 New Zealand dollars for it, but it was worth more than that to me. It was just like, wow. And I've never, I've had photos with people I've, sports stars and all that locally who are well known, but that was really something special. And I thought, you don't think you would do that. You're like, oh yeah, it'll be really cool when you see your friend, see the person that you admire, but
when you're there, the foot goes in the mouth, you're just kind of like just paused,
Yeah.
I had that happen with
So,
we went to a combo convention. I can't remember what it was. It was like the day after we got married, my wife and I, before we started the honeymoon. We
yeah.
hit up a convention, and I got to actually, I got to see Buck Rogers. I think Chance and
Oh,
Bob were there in the background somewhere.
yeah.
But Lou Ferrigno, the
Right.
real Incredible Hulk.
With the Hulk himself.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And I got to shake his hand. He autographed. I think what was it, the Return of the Incredible Hulk with Thor, the
Wow.
DVD. Yeah, he autographed. I've still got that today. And it's just one like that. My wife said, "You just look like a kid in a candy store, just staring at the man." I'm like, "Just because it was the Hulk, the real
Yeah.
Hulk. It wasn't some
Yeah.
computer. It was him." And like I said, just was just in awe. I'm like, I've
Yeah.
been watching this TV show since I was a little kid. And here the man is just standing here, just wasn't green, but it was still the Hulk.
Yeah.
And I said, you just get starstruck. And you don't
Yeah.
even know what to say. George Carlin, I think I hung out with him after a show of his for about 2 hours, and
Yeah.
just shooting the breeze about movies and comedies, the Bill and Ted experiences that he
Mm.
loved playing the character Rufus. And so I tell that story on the kids nowadays. They're like, "Oh, that's cool." I'm like, "No, you know how cool that really was." I say for
Yeah.
me at my age, I was like, me and the buddy of mine that went and saw it, we left, and I was like, "Man, that's George Carlin, man. Let's look back and see if we can at least say hi or maybe get an autograph." He's like, "Okay, we can try." Go
Yeah.
back in, and the ladies up front, like, "Yeah, he's downstairs, there at the end of the aisle. He's just talking with people." I'm like, "Oh, cool." We get
Yeah.
on down there, and he was, oddly enough, talking to a group of nuns. And I looked at my friend, I was like, I wonder if this could get dangerous or not, with what he was known for as far as his vulgarity.
Yeah.
And but the weird thing was, they left and we got to chit chatting this and that. He autographed the tape, cassette tape back. That just shows you how far back it was from good old fashioned cassette tape. And we're just gonna make it quick, and go to shake his hand, gonna leave. He said, "Why don't you guys just hang out?" He says, "I'm not in a hurry." I'm like, I just look at my friend. I was like, "Dude wants us to hang out." That's awesome. So we sat down next to good old George Carlin. We just started just chit chatting away. And the
Yeah.
crazy thing was, like I say, he's legendary for his
For his comedy. Yeah.
and the vulgarity, and
Yeah.
none of
And
that.
his
There was
wit,
none of it
his
in the
sharp wit.
conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, that's what I told him from my friend when we left. I was like, I don't think I heard him swear, like not even once during that whole 2 hours where he's talking. He goes, "Yeah, man, he saves it for the stage."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh." And I said, I think I asked him, I was like, "So, well, who was with the nuns, man?" And he goes, "Oh, I was raised in a monastery." He says, "Those are the ladies that raised me." I'm like, "There's a lot of stuff I don't even know about you, man."
Yeah.
So I was, just, I said, he's been gone for quite a while now, but, to actually say that I got to spend 2 hours, of his existence
Wow.
and my existence just shooting the breeze.
Yeah.
For me, it was awesome, and I said, the young
Seriously, I mean,
people
like,
today,
I'm sure people, who are watching or who know who George Carlin is,
yeah, would
they're in
think that
awe,
was just,
right?
yeah,
To actually have have that time with someone like that for 2 hours.
yeah.
I think it's it's not possible these days to have that much time to spend with
no,
someone at
right,
all. I mean, like even 10 minutes is too much,
right.
and I think that's
A lot of
why
people,
this sort of the podcast thing has taken off, because people hunger for that deep, more sort of connection to people out there. I know COVID has taught us that we need that interaction as a society. It's kind of like gave us a pause to like go, well, you're always on social media, and then it's like, yeah, but now social media is actually providing us to connect, where we're not allowed to connect, and I think it just shows us how important the dialogue and conversation is important to us as a society to keep
right.
going. So you're here with Rising Sun and working on G.I. Joe comics. What do you do after that? Like, do you continue? You do like you said, you did Armadillo Justice, and I've got those works here.
Yeah,
I've always got those comics here,
I've
so
got mine in a couple
they're
totes.
brilliant. That
But,
like kid like I that's my selling point when I see a kid at our store, with Punch, and I go, hey, yeah, like, do you have anything for kids? Yeah, we got this, right? And not
yeah,
only that, as a parent, then I'll go, listen, at the back of it, there's a whole bunch of activities, so it's not just like he'll just read and put it away. He's got things to do here, isn't it? And I sold, sort of a whole set of 6. I said, yeah, look, buy the whole lot, man. I'll give you a discount. But look, this is good. This,
Mm-hmm.
if he's interested in this, he's gonna love it because it's, you know, he's gonna see all the stories, the colors, the characters, but in the back he's gonna have all these things to do with that, you know, and
Activities and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, activities and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was I see in the way I don't know. I mean, Hawk brought the whole armadillo thing to me, and I kind of sat down and I was reading the scripts and whatnot, you know, and he was, you know, looking for, I guess, me to kind of see if he could like bounce things off of me. You know, we kind of just we rolled together with the grinding evolution of these guys, and I'm sure if you ask him, I mean, I kind of pointed it out to him too. He made a comment here that it looked like Armadillo Justice was starting to get another spike, you know, an interest,
Mm,
you know. And I
yeah,
told him, I said, well, if you think about it, I said, I kind of injected through my own experiences a little bit of the Ninja Turtles into these
right,
characters. I
yeah,
said, if you look at them, you take off the ears, the nose, and the tails. I said, they look like a turtle, you know. And I said, they got the same personalities. I said, they're missing maybe one of the four, but you got
mm,
three of them in there. And your Amy, she's kind of like April.
mm,
I said, you know, and with the turtles, kind of they come and go, they come and go, they come and go, but they're always
yeah,
there. Now they got a new
yeah,
film coming out, and you can see it's
yeah,
strongly geared for the little guys, the little kids. So
yeah,
I told him, I said, I'm really thinking that the more they see these armadillos, the more they see these turtles, they're going hand in hand. You know, it's like, oh man, these
right,
guys are just as cool as the turtles. You know, so it
right.
really keeps them up and going.
Yeah, I think we should put out a you know, a trade paperback. As do it. I think once into maybe because I know with us on Plunge Studios page on Kickstarter. I mean, sorry, yeah, on
Mm.
Kickstarter, we haven't put anything out there ourselves yet. You
Right.
know, we had to go at it, but like, and then we've got our one right now, Incredi-Girl on the Rising Sun page. I'm thinking like once that finishes, maybe we'll just chuck out, you know, books that, you know, all ages books onto the Rising Sun and just keep seeing what we can do once we fulfill our goals. I think a lot
Mm.
of people, you know, once we fulfill the goals, right,
Mm.
and the backup promises, then I think the trust will be there to
Right.
do it. And this is why I'm like, I put, I think that's why we put our goal at like replying to it and, you know, making sure it's fulfilled by February, because you don't know what's going to happen. And like sometimes, you know, you got all these ideas and dreams and passions, and you know, you think you do all this stuff, and then you realize, yeah, you can't do all that stuff because it's not, you know, you don't have the finances or you don't have the you know, experience to pull it off,
Right.
um, or the work doesn't come up in time, you know,
Mm.
and then you go, okay. But I think this is the other thing. Have you put out any books of your own, or like have you done any own work together?
Uh, Not as far as my own book, which I said that's
Mm,
kind of where I'm putting my foot out to right about now, you know.
yeah,
And last time my wife and I talked about it, she's like, would you really want to try and go through the hassle of trying to do your own comic book? How are you going to do it? Would you have the time? So I guess
mm,
that's something else I kind of looked at. You know, I was like, I had this balance between, okay, I know about the comics, I've done the comics, the
yeah,
children's books interest me. You know, I was like, I might be able to balance the children's book a little bit better than I can the comic book. And as
right,
far as putting out my own, that might
mm,
be more successful. I mean, I've had, you know, a lot of different, what you call my own characters that I've, you know, tinkered around with. And I
yeah,
guess, you know, it frustrates me is like when I go through a lot of effort, you know, and I'm thinking, okay, I got this really cool character, awesome idea, story, plot, look, design, whatever.
mm,
I think I had one I was working on there for, it's been ages ago,
mm,
Night Owl. I had him called him Night Owl. And it was kind of like a
yeah,
costume. Like he had to look like Gambit meets Batman. And he was
yeah,
gray and he had the goggles and he had the trench coat thing kind of spread out the wings. And I put so much work into developing this character, and then come to find out, you know, it's just out of my own, I guess, you know, moment. I
yeah.
didn't really pay attention to the fact that that name already existed. And I'm like, oh, well, doggone it, you know. And
Well,
I said that to my
just
kids,
change
you
the
know. I was like,
name.
yeah, it's
just
true, you
just
know.
change
They
the
need
name. I mean, like,
right,
you know, like I did one like was I think it's for this one anyway, right?
yeah,
For Alien Alliance.
mm,
I started calling when I first wrote it, it was called The Hero. You know,
oh,
that was it.
mm,
That's all in my head was just the hero.
mm,
And so I thought like, you know, I've got all these different ideas for them because and then we've got the artwork and everything and comic books almost finished. And I thought, now I've got to come up with a name because I can't just keep on, you know, and that so I went, threw the hero name out and just went, let's come up with something different. And then, I saw the artwork that James did, James Hill did, and I was like, yeah, I got to really make this logo stick and really pop. And,
Right.
the icon on his chest has got to really work, because you can't put a great character out without the full effort of the colors of the costume, the logo. And
you want to try to make it as unique as possible,
Yeah.
It's hard to create your own characters nowadays. There's so many of them. It's like everything under the sun's been done just about. So it's like, you really got to chisel away something that's very unique, so it stands out on its own.
It's a challenge you got to come to, right? You got to meet the challenge. I mean, it depends on how much you want it to be there. I mean, if it's got to be special to you, right? It has to be special to you. It has to be unique to you. And I think, especially now that you're designing logos and stuff like that, and design work, you'll come up with something that you didn't think. Like, sometimes I think the happy accidents are the best things when it comes to creation. You let the character do its own thing, let the story do its own thing. One of the other things I was going to think about is, like, because you're saying, we're used to like little kids book about 10 pages long. The Japanese do an art form in literature called light novels, right? Which is like a whole book, but every page has an illustration. So it's like all these novels, text and stuff, and there's a little image there. But then what they then do is turn that into a comic book manga, right? And then that manga becomes an anime. And so a lot of time people don't realize what a light novel is. And I took me ages to figure it out. It's just a 90-page or 100-page, novel, right? Novella, right? It's like one of the, remember those old Robert E. Howard Conan books, right? And Le Sprague books. I've got a few of them here, and they're about 90 pages to 120 pages long, and they just when the Japanese, they just put a couple images on on the pages, and away you go. And it's like, it's kind of backwards. It's like the comic should have come first, and then would have come to novel, but now it's like novel and then manga, and then off to anime. And that's another way of doing it, right? If you want to actually, if you're struggling with a short story, go for the long story. And it's kind of cool. Now we're now at Armadillo Justice, right? So Armadillo Justice is such a unique, very vibrant, very colorful, very interesting, the artwork's what really pulls me to that. The character design is really what pulls me to that. I don't have to think about anything else. It's just the artwork pulls me to that. And I thought, like, wow, it's such an easy sell, to be honest. Like, with quality artwork like that, you're just like thinking, and the vibrancy of all, it's like, how do I, but like, I think in New Zealand, we're not open to that sort of thing. We're so inundated with the mainstream so much that that anything independent kind of like, it's like, oh yeah, nah, we'll just, where's this Spider-Man? Where's your Hulk? Where's your Wolverine? And so we've just been in love with American culture so much down here in the colonies, is that we don't really think much of our own stuff. And I think at the Kickstarter has slowly given us a chance to actually start going, yeah, we can create our own, we can put it out there, even though we've been comics for 100 years, right? I mean, not 100 years, but just as long, as America. But I mean, like, anything that was happening anywhere in the West, like in in America or Britain, was coming over here. And so, it didn't take long for anything, like, we saw Incredible Hulk on TV I saw it in the 80s on replay. I saw Automan, I saw Knight Rider, A-Team. I grew up on that, and Star Trek. And when you said Buck Rogers, I started rewatching Buck Rogers because just a couple of weeks ago, because I was like, I really want to understand what it was like for me to experience as a kid. Now
Twiggy,
yeah. And, I saw a doll of Major, what's her name? Oh gosh, Buck Rogers. The lady that finds him and stuff. And
Oh man, yeah,
Daring, something Daring, Major
yeah,
Daring.
yeah.
Yeah, it was
Sounds
on.
so.
Yeah, I'm thinking of buying it because I just saw it. I was like, yeah, it's only a little figure. I was like, oh, it's a
Yeah.
Mego figure, but it'd be like cool to just have it there because of like someone
Hmm.
I actually, watched when I was a kid, 40
Yeah.
odd years ago. Um, so what are your inspirations for getting into comics and stuff?
Like I said, it had a lot to do with the artwork.
Yeah.
It was when I would flip through comic books back in the day. I'd hit up every comic book store I could find, just to see the difference. What do you have that these guys didn't? What do you have?
Mm.
Just going from bookstore to bookstore, just checking them out. And I could spend hours to the whole day almost until
Yeah.
they say, "Hey, you gotta go. We're gonna close up." And I'm just flipping through books and books and books, and I was just like absorbing. Not just the story, but all that artwork was just hitting my
Mm.
eyes and just staying. And it's just I could just see and feel that drive. I'm like, I want to do this kind of stuff. I'd love to just actually pick up my own book and go, I drew this.
Mm.
So I think it had a lot to do with like, you watch cartoons, you got the volume, the audio, the music, and it's running, back and forth, yada yada. When as you're flipping through the pages, I'm like, man, this is like anywhere from you got a splash page to a splash page that's got maybe one or two panels on it. Then you get two to three,
Mm.
four to five. And that was another thing I found. I was like, when I'm reading a script, I'm like, how many pages do we got? We got 24 pages. How many panels is on per page? And I know I told one guy, I was like, dude, you put like 7 or 8 panels on one page. I was like, what am I going to do with this? I was like, are we trying to tell a story? Or are we trying to confuse people here? I said, can we
Yeah.
maybe break this up a little bit? Like pull these 2 panels from this page and squeeze them back over here because you only got like 3 panels on this page. I was like,
Mm.
sometimes it can drive me nuts because it confuses me. I'm like, I love the 4 to 6 panel pages. I'm like, those are cool,
Yeah.
quick, done. But when
Mm.
I get hit with those, when I start seeing, page 17, 7 panels, page
Yeah.
22, whoa, 8 panels. I'm like, how am I going to squeeze what you're talking about into all these? Am I making little cracker sized squares, all over this page and then trying to draw
Yeah.
inside of them? So I guess that's like my biggest beef with drawing comics, is
Mm.
the work, the time, and the quality you got to go into putting in those pages. But
Yeah.
that can be challenging. A lot,
Mm.
can really. You got to get up, step away, stretch your back, move your legs, and then try and talk yourself back into, okay, I just got to get past those 8 panels. And then
Mm.
the next couple pages are going to be a breeze. I got a splash page. Those are the fun ones. I got a splash page coming up, where you can just get all crazy art,
Yeah.
and yeah, and then I've actually can say that I've done a good number of, if not most of the cover art for Armadillo Justice, which I always thought was cool too, because growing up, yeah, you had your interior artist, and then you
Yeah.
have that special guest cover artist.
Yeah.
So when I was told back in the day, we want you to do the covers too, I'm like, oh, I was like, okay, cool. I thought that sounds
Mm.
awesome. And that's where I would take that opportunity to put even more into that piece that
Yeah.
was going to be on the cover than what I even did on the internal pages. And I tried to give it that balance on everything, the internals as well as the covers, of kind of like cartoon meets comic book. So
Yeah.
it's got that weird appeal, which was like you were saying, weird appeal of it just draws you in the artwork itself. I was trying to make it
Mm.
unique, but at the same time catchable. People are going to see and go, wow, that looks awesome. It makes me think of. It was like when you pick the book up, it's like turning on the TV to Saturday morning
Yeah.
cartoons. So, and that's been my big drive on most of my stuff. So, and I said, now when I try to do the logos and try to do the children's book, I'm having to train the hand, train the mind to shift in a different direction.
Mm.
And as I've tried to see, I think I know it drives my wife crazy. She's like, well, why can't you? I'm like, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm an artist. We're not
Yeah.
from the same realm. We exist on a different plane of total trippy.
Yeah.
I said what the rest of the world seems is normal. They look at us and go, they're kind of crazy, but it's
Yeah.
cool. It's a cool crazy. I'm trying to take that detailed cartoon comic book and flip it over into something a little more toned down. And that
Yeah.
was my problem was I went from toned down for so many years as a kid with a cartoon to I chucked in all that detail that I could possibly get out of it. And now I'm trying to reconstruct it and go back to the beginning and tone it down to where I can teach myself as an artist to bounce back and forth with it being just natural, detail calm, which is not easy. And like I said, that's what makes us so unique.
I think with the writing, because I'm the writer on most of our projects. So last year, I worked on the web comics and stuff for it, and I could put lots of text, and then we turned a web comic into into a print comic, and then we found that some people were saying it was too much text. And then because I was trying to tell two stories, one was like the background theme, like narrative that was going through, like the history of what was happening, and then also just let the comic, the character, tell the story. And then, but what I found was like, you're right, 4 to 6, like 4 to 6 is the magic, panel size, because you get more detail, the spacing is more correct, and then also the text. There's a really important thing that people don't understand when about the panels. It's like you actually have to put a friggin' speech bubble there, and the artist has to work it around to make sure there's enough space there in that area to give full speech bubbles. But sometimes if there's too much text in there, how does it work? So I've figured out that, like, if my artist is gonna, they'll send me a pencil first, right? And I go, okay, I'll put it on. Text is, get the speech bubbles on, and I'll send it back. Go, here's where I've tweaked my text around, the speech bubbles around. I've actually made this one that was supposed to be in panel 1 and go into panel 2, so that doesn't harm your artwork. So they are aware that I'm working with them back and forth, because I don't like seeing comics with a speech bubble is covering art. I hate that. It's like, how could you? How could you ruin that perfect, beautiful figures and stuff that's going on in the background? Like, this is not how it should be done. And I'm like, so I've been really particular when I started lettering my own stuff. It's like, I'm just gonna make sure that my bubbles are not covering the artist's work, and I'll let them know I don't want to. I just move things around a bit because I don't want to cover this.
They have to coexist.
I
mean, and that's what makes it that much more appealing, because like you said, if they put that quality and that time into just that page, or even just that one panel, then that word bubble takes up most of, the beauty just got, where to go. You can kind of make out. There's been a lot of, ones I'm like, okay, this character's got something going on. I was like, I wish I could see more, because that's just a really cool pose display. However, they were just, and the bubble is covering up half the picture. I'm like, okay, what's even going on here? And then, like I say, it does get confusing all the way around. So you're disrespecting the art and you're confusing everybody across the board.
That's why, like, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get it. Like, I was doing artwork based on the old stuff that we had, and I was like, I think I'm not gonna put this out there. I'm gonna get an artist to do the artwork, because if somebody's gonna pay for this, it's got to be value to it. And I don't think what I'm putting out is valuable. So I changed artwork. I rewrote the script, and updated everything. I went, okay, this is the number 1 comic that we're going to put out, with Incredi-Girl. And, and I felt better. I felt really, really relieved that it was going to be okay, that this character is finally going to see light in a way that I wanted to do. When I first go to pick this book up, I'll be like amazed by it, myself. Not anybody else, me, because I've bought comics for the last freaking 40 odd years, since I could afford them myself, or even when I got given them, But this Richard Ottery here says, I have a couple Armadillo Justice comics, and it's nice to see who or how they came about. You're very talented.
Yeah, that's my great uncle.
Oh, okay.
That's family. Yeah. Family's always buying the books. They've always, I'll get emails and text messages and all kinds of, when's your book coming out? I want some. When's your book coming out? I want a couple copies. So I will do my best to see what I can get in your direction,
Yeah.
So that's some of my biggest supporters.
Talking about supporters, do you get out to conventions?
I don't, and unfortunately, like I said, I'm kind of a grunt working the 9 to 5 kind of deal, except it's, oddly enough, it's a Saturday through Wednesday is my schedule, and it's 3 to 11:30. I'm working, doing the horse work, for Sam's Club right now. So that's bringing in what it can while I'm doing the artwork. So and most of these conventions are on the weekends, and like I said, I'm always working a Saturday and Sunday. So it's really hard to even try and get to some of those. And then you got to try and put in time off, it's got to be approved, so it's like one of those, why do you want Saturday and Sunday off? Because we really want you here working.
You're right.
Yeah. So that's something that's, I looked at myself in the mirror. I'm like, you know what? I've been to how many conventions in the last how many years? I'm like, oh yeah, I can't even remember now, And that's what the wife keeps telling me too. She's like, the more you physically interact with people, I'm like, I know. I said, that's what I need to do. I said, but how do I break the chain that's got my leg all wrapped up right now? So it's a major
thought about, because of that, like I'm always thinking about how to change things around to suit myself, right? Because I mean, I spend 6 days in bed basically because I do everything because of my back and neck injury, just lying on my back, and so to make myself comfortable, right? So, so if you can't go to the weekends, but there are comic shops, right?
Yeah. And
so you just drive up to a comic shop during the week that, it was like you say Monday to Tuesday, you're free. So, you just pop into a comic shop and say, hey, I'm coming on this day. Maybe, a couple of people will come in that evening, whatever, or that afternoon. And, I think it's creating your own sort of, your own audience, creating your own sort of like a balance to meet them where they are, but at your in your way, right? So you can't go to the conventions, but there might be a couple of shops around. You can join other shops on the evenings after school when the kids go in. Hey, I've got a couple of books here. I'm guests coming in and all that. And this is something I've been talking to Hawk about, that the artists with Rising Sun, wherever they are, need to get in with the shops, with the local comic shops, because they're our main sort of entry points for any kid who's ever going to get into comics. That and bookshops.
Right.
And so mainly comics, because they know that is what it is. It's a comic shop. That's where you go to get a comic. So in their heads, if I'm on a comic, that's where I go. So that could be a really good point, place for people to get to know you and to whoever else, right? And I think if artists, writers, whatever, take a couple, 5 books along, just here, I'll do, a couple of sketch cards, whatever, real quick, pencils, and if you want to buy my thing, and that's like an hour, right? And that's, at the most. Or if you want to hang out and talk with me, and then, you can go back to work the next day and you're good to go. There's nothing out of your time. But it's just kind of finding the balance. Like, I mean, everybody keeps talking about the work-life balance. It's like, how do you find a balance? But you do have to, if you want to create a space where you're going to go work for yourself, or build up your own business, that personal touch is what's going to like keep it going along.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So this question may be already answered, but do you do crowdfunding for your creator-owned comics? You haven't done one yet, have you? Not yet.
No, I don't think I have. No.
Yeah. So that's something, we'd probably look at, helping you out with if you wanted, because once you've got a product, it's how do you get it out there? But one of the fastest growing ways is direct to customer, right? Is to just go straight to the customer. And now Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and similar things like Fund My Book is, or Fund My Comic, I think it is, and all these Facebook groups are actually sharing each other's work and promoting each other's work that are on these crowdfunding sites. So now you can actually go on, chuck your book like we're doing in Incredi-Girl, right, on Kickstarter, and it's about 62% already funded, and we've got about 11 days to go or something. But that's people all over the world deciding, hey, I want this book. And our job is to go onto social media and advertise it or promote it in groups and everything, and just put the feelers out and see if somebody will come back to it. But Kickstarter has created opportunities, like say someone like one of the biggest two names that I can think of that are specifically in the superhero genre. There's of course Brian Pulido with Lady Death. He's done really well, I think. I'm not sure if it's Kickstarter or Indiegogo, but he's the godfather, right?
I actually spoke with him on the phone ages ago. It was really weird. It was when he was still with Chaos Comics. I don't know if you remember those, Ernie, Evil Ernie.
Quite a while back.
Yeah, it's a while back. I remember I had stopped by the parents' house to kind of help out and mow their yard for them. And I had submitted some work to Chaos Comics prior, and I had kind of forgotten about it. Next thing I know, my mom's hollering at me from the back door. She said, hey. And I'm like, yeah, what? This is back before cell phones, so I didn't have a cell phone, so don't call me, call this number here. It's the only way you can get a hold of me. Next thing I know, she said, there's some guy about comic books on the phone for you. I'm like, really? Okay. I said, that's kind of cool. I kind of, like I said, I've sent them out to so many different people. I didn't think they'd actually call me, so I go in there and I'm like, hello. And hey, this is Brian Pulido from Chaos Comics. And my jaw dropped. I'm like, what? I was like, who? He said, yeah, man. He says, I saw your work. It came in. I'm sitting there looking at it right now. This is mind blowing. This is awesome. What are you doing? So we talked for a few, and I was thinking to myself, wow, is this finally it? And then it kind of came to light, what I would call my traditional. And it was, I think it was about the time he was stepping away from Chaos Comics and they were starting to dissolve. He said, if this wasn't happening, he says, I would have hired you right now on the spot while we were on the phone. And I'm like, prayer almost halfway answered, So I'm like, okay. I was like, that kind of told me, I was like, you do have it, it's there. And obviously, that was for me, and other fans. But for me, it was like, that was a big name, I'm like, this is Brian, from Chaos Comics or Evil Ernie, I've tried to get in touch with him a couple times, through Instagram nowadays, but people are busy, and it's a whole different world now than what it was then. He may not remember who I was. That work's probably, long gone. But to actually, it's one thing to get that letter of rejection or that email or something like that, but to get the phone call and to say, if this wasn't happening this way, you'd be walking in the door right now and starting to draw comics for us. I was like, that was awesome. So that there kind of just gave me that kick in the head, like, there's potential. There's something can happen. That can happen for anybody. But like you said, as long as if you don't try to throw something out there, throw yourself out there, nobody's going to know who your name is. They don't know what you can draw or do whatever it is you do.
I've got a young lady. So I'm 50, right? So anybody like under 40 is going to be young to me. So she's probably in her 20s. So she's, I was telling her about what we do, right? I said, we're doing comics and stuff, and this is going to be up there soon. And she said, well, I've got this. So she pulls out her phone and shows me all this stuff, and I'm going, yeah, man, this is cool. I love it. I love the colors, everything. Why don't you do a cover for me? And she goes, oh, yeah. And I said, okay, look, why don't you color cover for me, right? I'll send you some stuff, and you can color it, and we'll have a see if it's going to work or not. And she's like, oh, no. 2 weeks later, still, and I said, look, man, I just paid I paid a young girl, 14-year-old, to do a cover for me, and it's already showing on social media that that's going to be the first cover. Sure, it's like the book I'm putting out is a mature book, so her cover is going to be just the regular cover, right? All the other special covers is what I want you to maybe look at coloring. I'll do the freaking flat tone, flat color flats, and you can just do the actual tones and stuff. So I'm just too. So look, listen, man. If you don't put yourself out there, if you don't put something, out there, if you don't do something, you'll still be someone at home doodling, right? Yeah. But if you try it, if you just do one piece, and I said, like, she goes, I've always wanted to do a comic. So why don't you do your freaking 6-page story? Yeah. Just do a little thing. That's the only way you're going to start. If you just do a little thing and get it out there. I mean, when I did my first comic, which was in 2007, right? I did The Circle. It was a mess. Like the artwork was fine, but the lettering and everything was jumbled because you're trying to transfer from like Illustrator to Photoshop or whatever, all this thing. By the time canvas, like bubbles were all over the place. But I loaded up on, onto this is like in the early days, like 2007 was the early days of webcomics. Put onto one site, found out it had like one had 50,000 downloads, one had 100,000 downloads. Didn't even know that had happened. The site had gone, but I'd got the numbers. I'd actually, because I had a head injury, so I'd forgotten all that stuff. And so, but I had seen on my I had done screenshots. Okay, number two's got 50,000, number one's got 120,000, number three's got such, and I was like, what? So imagine back then if I didn't, if I didn't have the head injury, if I didn't have the accidents, if I'd kept going, I lost 10 years of that, that creativity on, not creativity, but like that whole building on that, like taking the steps to build upon that, and like, by now I'd be probably more recognized by my work, but didn't happen because it just didn't work that way. Life has its own things. But I think people are so scared of like not trying, and it's like there's so much stuff out there that's like goes, yeah, but I can't compete. Why do you have to compete? You don't have to compete with anybody. Just walk your own walk. There's Jim Lee's out there. It's like, who cares what Jim Lee's doing? Because if you think like that, if the this generation coming up think like that, there won't be no comics next generation. If all these new starters are not going to start, there's going to be nothing left there in this medium in the future. There'll be just like back orders, like back historic books from way back when. It's like there's no comics anymore. It's like if that goes, this interest, this interest is going to die major. And so my thing is like encourage and inspire, and inspire, and hopefully the next gen will come up, and when we're gone, they'll be ready to take over and have it much easier. Now, do you have any children or anything like that, or do you have anybody that you might, that you want to get into comics or inspire them to get into comics or something like
that? My kids are a little bit different. They have their own style, own interests, but I do have. I've actually talked with a couple of people that they've got kids or siblings, that have taken an interest in trying to do the art or even do the comics, children's books as well. A friend of mine said his wife has started to, I guess she unknowingly was doing children's book art, and I told him, that that's what she looked at. He said, yeah, she's just getting started, and I was like, well, to me, it looks like she's already got a good bulk of the talent that you would see in a children's book, cover and in the interiors, So I've, made suggestions to him that, she ought to follow some of these different pages and stuff on Facebook, get involved with those people and get that exposure. I said, because if she's just throwing something out on her own page from time to time, you're only going to get that seen from time to time. I said, but if you join up with some of these groups and stuff that are on Facebook, I said, and just, I'm not saying like, throw up 5 or 10 each day, every day. Just throw one out
one
there
a week
today. Today or every other day, and 2, 3, 4 days down the road, just throw something out there. I said, people are going to pick up on that. Like, you got a lot of these authors that are looking for the artists, as comic books as well as children's books, so they're always looking for that. I need that person that can bring what I see out so that everyone else can see it, because a lot of these authors are like, I can't do the visuals. I can just put the story out there, but I need somebody to help me show everyone else what it looks like,
Yeah. I mean, even as writers, as comic books, we do that, we visualize it, but we can't. So I do collages, right? I get my clip studio together, and I get cut up photos, and I put it on, and then I put little notes. That's how I work, trying to get these characters out there, because I can't, I used to draw really well, but I had a hand injury, so I stopped drawing completely, for 2 decades or so. So that's gone. So now it's just little doodles, scratching around, little, whatever you can, and just put it out there. I think, and it doesn't matter what age they are, right? And inspiring people, they don't have to be older, they don't have to be young to be inspired, because we think that just because social media is here, that everybody knows how to work it. you know, and not everybody knows to work it. And I think, and there's also the fear that everybody has that their art will get stolen and so on. But, you know, you can protect your art. You know, you just share what you want to share, not everything. You know, you don't have to put everything out there.
No, I mean, if I don't blatantly put my signature, my name, or even my initials on something, I've always had the habit of making my initials a part of the artwork itself.
Yeah.
So that's like, you know, if that problem ever came about, surfaced, I could, you know, easily say, okay, do you know what's in this person's vicinity, the arm, say, you know, is there something about the arm, you know, or his leg or the hair? You know, they wouldn't know. You know, but I can tell you right now, there's an A, there's an A, there's a B, and maybe, you know, the last two digits of the year. You know, it's just kind of in there as a part of the illustration itself. That's just something my mother actually suggested that when I was wee little. You know, she's like, you know, put your signature to it. Make sure you always got your name on there somewhere. You know, and it was really funny because I got tracked down by a guy on Facebook. I forget where it was now. I don't know if it was like Wisconsin or something, but this has been ages ago. I mean, I was still running around on vacation with my family, mom and dad, brother and sister. And I had scribbled just this chubby looking horse that had just eaten the big old breakfast of a cowboy. And it was all done up on a placemat, you know, and I used to do that at restaurants and stuff like that when I was younger. I'd just scribble on paper or the placemats or something like that and just leave it behind. I didn't think anything about it. It was just for me to do and waiting on the food to get there. I figured somebody either keep it for themselves or they would throw it away like everything else. And some guy got, I forget the name. I wish I had it all right here in front of me. You know, and I guess saw my work eventually and then saw the name and put two and two together and sent me a picture of that particular illustration that is apparently it was in like a restaurant lodge kind of thing, you know. I wish I would know the name of it, but yeah, I respond to him. He's like, "Is this your artwork?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's mine." I was like, "You still have that?" He goes, "It still hangs in a frame up on the wall at the restaurant today." I'm like, "That was like late '90s somewhere." I was like, "You still have something like that?"
Yeah.
And then I've had friends, you know, have dug out stuff from like junior high, middle school, high school, and I'm like, people still have that stuff, and it's crazy too because you know, and I get that from people, you know, well, you know, I don't like the way my art looks. I'm like, your art is your art. I was like, I'm almost embarrassed if anybody sees some of my early stuff. I'm like, no, I just assume keep that in a box somewhere. You guys don't need to see that compared to what I can do today. But I've dug those out and showed my kids. You know, they're like, I don't like my art. I'm like, that's just how it is. I said, a lot of us artists don't like. We're our own worst enemy. And I pulled out some of my stuff, and they look at it and they're like, "Oh my gosh, Dad, that's yours." I'm like, "I told you, it didn't always look the way you see it right here, right now." I said it had a starting point. It had diapers too, you know. So everything
it grows.
Yeah,
you get better at it.
Yeah, I can't believe stuff's still kicking around out in the world other than the stuff I've intentionally done. You know, the for fun stuff. I guess, you know, I said, you know, to think that somebody at a restaurant had enough thought to even pick it up and then and frame it and put it on the wall. It's got my name down there and everything in the year. And I'm just like, seeing that photo, I was like, oh wow. I was like, that was so long ago. I was like, I remember. And then after you see it, you're like, I kind of remember sitting at that table, tapping the pencil. When's the food gonna get here? I gotta do something to entertain myself before I get upset. So I gotta start drawing. There it was. It's still sitting there today. You know, that was really wild.
That's awesome, mate. Like, geez, I was just thinking, imagine walking in one day going, "Oh, nice. I got told you have my art on the wall." Because what? That one. I'm sure they're going to buy you a free meal. On the house, sir. Thank you. You know, can we get photos, please? You know, that would be me. It would be me. Like, I'll be like, can we get photos with you, like next to the artwork as well? And here's your meal. What would you like to eat? This is your wife? Yep. Please. Here's a table. Thank you. That's brought so much joy to everybody. You know, that's me. You know, that's what I'd be doing. You know, because I think there's a tendency not to appreciate comic book artists because it's seen as a cheap labor, right? It's seen as a cheap medium, and I think So yesterday, my stepsister, she was over in she's doing a world tour with a friend of hers, and she was over some place. But anyway, she she put a photo up, and of it said comic books and comic book art museum, comic museum, from 130 different artists, cafe and souvenir shop. I'll share it with you later. But instead, and so underneath that, because we're very small here in Whangarei, right? Our city's not so big as such, but we're able to communicate with, make friendships quick. And I'm in the art scene with my, because I got involved with doing a convention, with Punch convention, with the pop culture thing. And I basically tagged in my community, two people I know who are huge in the art scene, as well as my mayor and as well as my local councillor. I said, wouldn't it be great if we had this just for our Northland artists, comic book artists, so that people could see basically this is our people's art here, that people here in our community do comic books, and these are them, because that would now bring a value to the art form in our community, right? Okay, I've been running the conventions for 5 years. I've got friends who are now putting together like community get-togethers for comic books if you want to learn how to draw or build each other up, and so that's happening. And then also we're putting all this stuff out there, and I was thinking, well, it wouldn't be cool just to have a little shop just does that, and but I think we're going to get there. I think I mean, one of the greatest ways to do that is just comic shops, put art on the wall of comic shops, original art. And that way, when people come in, go, oh, wow, you see the big, huge, what Spider-Man is drawn. It's like, it's not the poster, that you stick on your wall. It's actual, an actual comic page art, like the blue line work, that's just up there that people collect. I had, when we did our first year of the convention, we had that, we had that stuff. One of the guys who's a collector actually have that there. People go, oh, wow, I think it was from 2000 AD because a lot of us British, English, Kiwi folk are really into 2000 AD because that's our, that was our youth growing up, not Spider-Man, So a lot of us got into that very young. Now, what do you think about like where do you see this, the comic industry going, especially now with there's three things that factor here that I see, right? So there is the manga that everybody consumes because it's just black and white. There's it's just black and white, easy access. It's everywhere, right? It's in the comic book shops. It's in the bookshops. It's in the supermarkets, right? I saw a whole wall full of them the other day. Here.
Bigger than when I was a kid.
Not when we were younger, right? So this has basically picked up around about, I'd say about 2000, the last 20 years, due to Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon taking off here, and Naruto. Those three things I think was what got it on. Got it going on, and so it's not my generation. So like I was away, working and learning filmmaking. Didn't watch TV. I don't still don't watch TV.
My older boy, 27, 28, I mean, that's how I got most of my exposure, I guess you'd say, to the whole manga and anime was the Dragon Ball Z, even the Power Rangers, because that was what he picked up on when he was like 7, 8 years old, and it was just the hottest thing going. I'm like, what is all this? I guess you'd say my only interaction with what you would call anything close to anime was like the old Real Ghostbusters cartoon, because I think the studio that did the animation for that was a anime styled studio. So the artwork, if you look at that artwork there for that cartoon compared to a lot of the Dragon Ball Z stuff, there's a similarity in the colors and the lines and stuff.
They must have hired like a Japanese studio.
Yeah. So I mean, it's been a part of my existence, because he's got a younger sister, she's 19. Other brother's 15, and all three of them they know everything about the manga and the anime. I just went through that earlier today with my 15-year-old. He's like, "Oh, Baki, this and this." I'm like,
yeah,
"What? Who?" I was like, "Yeah, who? You have to run the names by me. You have to fill me." I was like, "Because I don't know any of these guys, man." I said,
yeah,
I grew up with Transform and Roll Out and Yo-Jo and Turtle Power, and
yeah,
I knew what was going on. I said it might have been a mutant turtle, it might have been a robot that turned into a car, and some crazy guys that were shooting missiles. I said, but the anime stuff, I'm just like, well, okay, what? I said, you gotta explain to me what's going on because I have no clue. I was like, even when I
yeah,
was watching stuff with your brother when it started, I still don't understand it nowadays. I said the names baffle me, the
mm,
powers, the reasons, the purpose. I said some of that stuff kind of it gets a little out there.
yeah.
I'm like, okay, it's like, yeah, this is definitely a whole different era of cartoons than what I was used to.
Yeah.
So,
And I
but I
think
get my
that's,
education,
yeah,
one way or
but
another.
I think that's what's given like a push to buying the manga. And so you got a whole generation that does that. And
Yeah,
now, while that's been happening, the comics industry, the mainstream comic industry hasn't seen that as a challenge. They
no,
just think, oh, it's going to help us. It's not. It's a challenge.
it
And
is.
so because it's a challenge, so and I'm talking the American mainstream, right? So with
Mhm.
the big five, big six, and so they just let it happen without thinking, oh yeah, it's okay, it'll be fine, it's going to get more people into comics. No, totally different art
Yeah.
form, absolutely different art form. It's nothing similar to it. The characters, nothing like it. The closest thing that you could say that was the even the weirdest thing is getting beaten on the superhero comics by manga, right? With My Hero Academia,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah,
I mean, how could you, have an 80-year history and get beaten by a manga, a black and white book, right? That has
right.
superheroes in it,
Yes,
and yet
yeah,
you have all this glorious, amazing stuff out there, you know, all this stuff out there, and you get beaten by Japan, and yet you go, okay, yeah, 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 no, it's fine, we don't care, and
yeah,
and then it's
yeah,
like, okay, we'll just make movies now, okay, but those movie people don't buy comics, right? A
yeah,
fraction of them will do, not
yeah.
the majority, a fraction will do. But so you're changing everything to get these people, but they don't care about the comics anyway.
No, I
So
mean,
I it's interesting.
see, that's why I go on. My kids will be like, "Oh, Dad's ranting and raving again." When I'm like these movies or these shows or stuff that come out. Well, Marvel's got a new movie, Marvel's got a new show, DC's got a new, and I'll see it. I'm like, okay, what happened? I was like, where does this have anything to do with what the books did? And a lot of them have strayed so far away from the books
Yeah,
that's where they're losing the interest. A lot of these
yeah,
fans that grew up with that original stuff, they're seeing the major changes that have gone from
mm,
pages to screen,
mm,
and they're overlooking, neglecting, and forgetting about those pages, and
yeah,
that's where you're losing a lot of these people when it comes to the
yeah,
theaters and stuff like that. Just too much change, too much difference, and
yeah,
like I said, neglect of where it really came from. You know,
yeah. And that's the difference between the manga anime, right? The
right,
manga stays with the anime stays with the manga. It's like
right,
almost like sometimes it's page to page. All it is just moving the manga around, and which
right.
is what I like about animated movies from DC.
Mm-hmm.
It's because it's like those characters, they actually are kind of more loyal to the comics than they
Yeah,
are in the live actions,
yeah,
and I find them more entertaining and more enjoyable than to actually watch the live actions. I think we're at a point where, like, if you don't adapt the way you do things, you know and appreciate the actual fandom, you're going
mm-hmm.
to lose a generation who love this stuff, and they're not going to pass that on. You
Yeah,
know, like, I'm like, if you want to read anything, in comics that's good, go indie or go to the past.
yeah,
Forget this, forget the last 10 years. Just
yeah,
ignore the last 10 years. Just indie or go to the past. And I think that way you're not going to miss out on anything great. And you're not gonna be hounded or whatever, feel bad about reading comics because the comics are good. People love comics. In the 90s and in the 2000s, the writers and the artists really enjoyed doing their work,
yeah,
and that comes across in the indie comic scene. So, like, as the gentleman said before, you know, once you get your own character together, there's a whole wide world in the crowdfunding scene where you can actually, you know, raise your own your funds through the crowdfunding to actually put out your own book, yet people pay on demand. Basically, it's almost like a pay on demand project. Or you can pre-sell them, right, and then get the money and then print them and then send it out to them, and they pay for the freight as well. You know, it's such a really, really cool way to do things, and that's why I'm looking forward to getting her out there right now. Incredi-Girl out there, and that's art by James, from James Hill, and that's my coloring on there, just color flats. But
nice.
We put a $900 ticket on the goal. US, and then so far I think we're close to 609 or something like that. I'm not sure, or 600, 500, but that's people out there in the universe, right, and out there in the global world, just saying, okay, yeah, I'll support it. I'll get a digital copy, or I'll get a special copy, or a one-off print, or such and such, and you can actually, even the fact that you as an artist, you can actually sell your original art as part of the crowdfunding, and go, here's $100 for buying my work. It's a one-off original artwork, and you form the book. And I think, I think artists have a greater chance than, someone who's like has to put together a team and get it out, because it takes longer. But if you're just doing your work yourself, it's so much quicker, and you're so much, it'll probably take you 6 months, or whatever time it takes you to do it. And that's just you writing and doing it yourself. And I think it's just, plus you have a business, right, that actually does t-shirts, right? Yeah. So you got all that set up. So you're pretty much set up to, ready for Kickstarter. All you got to do is create that one book that you want to do. And like they always say, you got a book, and everybody's got a story. And I'm sure after all these years of drawing comic characters and coming up with your own ones, and I'm sure there's a story in there that you'll come up with to make us back you in a crowdfund campaign. Do you think you'll do one, though? That's the question.
I'm notorious for that, I'll get around to it. I'm going to do it, and procrastination, or something comes up, or I end up changing my mind, I mean, I guess I'm going to just leave it in that gray in the middle, the whole, possibly, possibly. We'll see what happens, I'd like to, but anymore, I'm kind of watching where I step with that whole, do you remember when you said you were going to, or I'm going to be careful with some of those, so I'm like, I'm going to leave it right there about midway, if I can get to where I can push it into the yes zone, then there we go,
Well, if you need a story, I have lots of stories.
No, that's always been my strong point. Like, you give me an instruction, I can follow it, I can do it. You give me a script, I can read it, I can draw it. Sometimes I'm going
to hold you to that. So I mean, we could put out our own Kickstarter campaign, and you get your work out there, and you can run the whole thing from that side, and you can sell your own original art and make your own original money from that artwork and stuff. And I think this is the great thing about, actually, that's what I miss about not sticking with doing illustrations and stuff. I used to be able to do really detailed stuff, and just going to went to art school 3 months in,
right?
Fell on the dance floor, got my wrist cut with the glass. That was it. Ended up the next year or so just bandaged up.
Wow.
And I was into Iron Maiden, and doing all the skulls and all the, all that Eddie character and all that. I could do really detailed stuff, and no, out the door. But that's why I appreciate art. Like, I really do, because I come from that background, illustrations and stuff. I really and logo design. That's my main thing. And but you got to adapt, right? If you can't do art, write stories. Tell your stories. Tell you. If you can't tell us through artwork, tell us through text. And so I think it's adapting to whatever challenges you have is a good way to face the future. And like, here's Kickstarter, right? Someone willing to put money behind your work without even knowing who you are, and just seeing what you're putting up. And I mean, like me, I put up updates every couple of days and go, hey, you know, Hawk was on live stream. He's thanked everybody. So here's your names. Go watch this video, and here you go. You know, and here's the latest. You know, here's the latest design of you know, Kevin's trading card and the colors on it. And here's James's, you know, work. And here's you know, Hugo from Mexico. His coloring on this book. You know,
right.
And I'm learning this, right? I'm learning this, you know, trying to learn. And then I can say, hey, now this is how you can do it. But I'm also learning from other people, right? From Niobe Comics, who are very successful, right, at what they do. And they've been doing it for 10 years. Yet they're willing themselves to like teach other people on their side. Like if you got a Kickstarter, you got a Niobe, they'll let you go through it and talk to you about it, what you can change, what you can make better, what they're like, and how to do it, and all this. And like, you know, those guys who've already been doing it and are successful are teaching other people who are new to it how to do it, you know? So this is the independent scene, right? This is the independent comic scene, which I love because it's very different. Can you imagine that being in the professional scene, doing that?
Oh, wow.
You know?
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, so this is why independent scene's doing so well, because of people like Niobe, people like, you know, people that don't like Ethan Skyver, right? EVS, whatever, that's fine. But he still does things that are very instructional. Same like, you know, Eric July from Ripperverse, those guys. All these people are out there promoting and getting people interested in independent comics, you know. And I think it doesn't matter if you hate them or whatever your politics are, doesn't matter. Anybody can teach you anything if you're just willing to learn, you know. And I think that's what I was taught, right? You know, ask the person as many questions as you can ask, and you rob them of their life, because all their, you know, their whole history, you can learn from that, because it's a shortcut. You know, you don't have to go through all the, you know, the issues they had to go through, all the pain and struggles, because you just ask them, what's a quick, you know, how do I do this? And they've, you know, they've all learned.
They say that there's no such thing as a stupid question. You know, I mean, how do you learn? You know, if you don't ask, you don't learn. So it's stupid to not ask the question. You know.
Awesome.
I mean, I used to think.
Carry on. Sorry.
I used to think, you know, like most guys, you know, too proud to ask for directions, or, you know, to want to not sound like you dumb it. Nowadays, I'm like, if I don't have a clue, I'm going to ask. You know, let me know so I can try to do it the right way. You know.
Awesome. Hey, I was gonna like finish off here with like at the end of all our streams, I basically ask, you know, the guest is 3 to 5 minutes to say whatever your piece is, you know, whatever you want to talk about, and, you know, inspiration, whatever, and then we'll come back and say our goodbyes. But and then also let you plug your, you know, whatever you want to plug, your store as well, business. So I'll put you on full screen here, and I will count you down. Take it away.
Okay, well, this has been a fun adventure experience. As I said, I think now everybody knows a little bit more about me. I might even know a little bit more about myself, or what I should be doing, could be doing. I said keep up with Rising Sun and everything that's going on there. Armadillo Justice could be making a comeback. I've been hearing bits and pieces of that. And look for WB Designs and Illustrations studio. That's I'll try to get more of that information out there. It's where a lot of my work's going to be seen, my wife and I. So I think it's kind of it for now. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Awesome. I've just noticed some artwork behind you. Do you want to show me something there before we go?
Oh, wow. Yeah,
because we really haven't seen any, you know, any artwork. So it'll be really cool to see some artwork.
Some of the stuff I just got kicking around, moving around, displaying, you know, the fan stuff, you know, the old Image Comics, Devil's Due Publishing, Serpentor art. One of my favorites.
Is this work from other companies, or is this your own?
Oh, no, it's not mine. No, it's kind of wild. I don't have any of my own T-shirts or any of my own work. It's out there, but I just don't have any yet.
Okay.
But this is what you call the stuff I have kicking around me that's, you know, entertaining, inspired me since my, you know, childhood kind of stuff.
Awesome.
The more I got around me, the more my brain just kind of keeps spinning and moving.
Yeah, that's one of the things about being creative, is that having that there, right? Having all the, because that's why I like to surround myself with toys and everything I can think of that are create in my field. You know, it's just everywhere. I'm still trying to set this up, and it's you know, like whenever you come to a block and you can't think, you just look around. You know, or you put on a cartoon, or and away you go.
The Joe Croc mask and all his little crocodiles and alligators. Yeah. And to me, the action figure thing is more than just an action figure or a toy. From an artist's point of view, it's like you look at all the statues from history that are still standing around today. You know, those are artists that put their talent and skills into those little figures and toys and action figures. You know, and to make them look as cool as they do and as appealing as they are. They now today look the way I just fantasized them as when I was a kid. I'm like, man, these things probably look so much cooler, and now they're finally doing them so much cooler. You know, so it's just it's the time, the quality, the effort. Like I said, that artist puts into this particular, like I said, statue, sculpture, piece of art. You know, so that's another thing. I have them standing there because it's just it's 3D art. You know, so it's more than a toy.
Yeah, like those, right? I've always, Wolverine's, like, I've been a fan of Wolverine since like probably late 80s.
Oh yeah.
You know, and this is the old man Wolverine, but like this is, this is what I grew up on, man. 30 odd years.
I gave you the toned down background version. I'll give you a quick little glimpse of what the other stuff is that, I guess the kids and I find the most appealing, which is.
Oh, let me just put you on full. Give me 1 sec. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to set up myself. Wow.
So as long as Wolverines. Oh yeah, you gotta have the Spideys and the Wolverines,
And all the friggin' Punishers.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you gotta keep him going, man. I don't know what they're doing with him nowadays, but
I'm out, man. Like I was talking about on the toy stream yesterday. It's like, I'm out of Punisher now. I'm just gonna have the old stuff. Pulled up my statues and stuff, and like, Wolverine, Punisher, Hellblazer, Batman. Those are mine. And I think there was one more somewhere, but like those were my key characters, and kind of gutted that they're being gutted.
Yeah, like I said, everybody. I don't know what they're doing with them nowadays. It hurts. It hurts and it aggravates.
Yeah. And
it's everything shy. Just completely annihilate the character and leave them in the past. Because that's what you're kind of doing to them anyway.
Just stop making them.
That Punisher thing, just you can ask most people that know me at work and at home, the kids. That's something that just, I don't know. That's a whole different story. That just frustrated me to no end. I'm like, what have you? Because now I'm reading that there's a new Punisher, and he used to be an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., and he's sporting a odd skull, and he's got guns. I'm like, so what was the whole point of taking Frank?
He's got space guns, though. The weird thing was, my character, which is Red Dot, right, which has a skull, I created way back in 2014 because we were trying to teach some, I was dealing with a murder in my family, and so I was like, okay, I'll create a character who takes punishment on those people, right? And so I create Red Dot, and it's got the skull, a unique skull on his face. Doesn't look like Punisher at all, but it was inspired, right? It's a vigilante, so he has armor and everything, and then he also has, he finds these space guns, right? Like basically, because the book that he's in is this universe. There's like there's aliens and stuff. So, but they fire pulses, right? So they slam into you. They don't kill you or anything. And I thought that was a cool way, because that way you can do something in this thing that it could really hurt you, but if it's different, if you're alien, it could really hurt you, but if you're human, it doesn't, right? Anatomy wise. Right. And so then I see this thing like, there's Punisher there, like they're gonna do this. I'm like, oh, freaking hell, man! You just leave Punisher as Punisher, like leave him as Punisher, or just don't do him at all.
Yeah, that's what I felt. I don't understand. I was like, what was wrong with Frank? Frank was doing just fine, and then we had to throw in all this up, and it's a roller coaster of just irritation. Is what it is, you know. So I just gave it a frown and a thumbs down when I saw it on Facebook, and I've just kind of just turned my head ever since. You know, just like okay, I pay attention to the old schools. You know, like you said, back in the day. Back in the day exists. This new stuff to me doesn't. You know, it's just goofy.
You might as well just forget the last 10 years and just go back and just anybody wants reading books, just ignore 10 years and just go past it. You know, I'm collecting Claremont, you know, X-Men.
Yeah.
You know, I'm trying to fill my run of Claremont right now, and it's costing a bit, but I'm getting there slowly, you know. And every now and then I go, okay, I'll add that in. Private sales, you know. I had a lady who was selling them to me. It's like, I've got those. Okay, I'll have 10 of those. That one, and here's some money, you know. And all through, like, I've got a friend who actually doesn't do new comics, and he's got a shop now. He just sells like old comic books, right? He awesome. Gets mixed. He finds comics overseas, old runs, and just fills people's, you know, brings it over, and goes, okay, this is what we're selling. You want that? Yep. This is the price on it.
That's awesome.
And that's the market for it now, more than the, you know. But I still want to support my, you know, the local comic shops. So every now and then I'll go put some money out there because on stuff I want, you know, what's cool, what I think is cool, and you know, speculative, whatever. But
you got to hunt for a while, but you might find a book or two here and there nowadays. But you dig through the old white boxes, the big white boxes. You dig through those, you could probably take home a couple armloads of good stuff. You know, so either way, you're still helping. You know.
Yeah. But I still just like I feel bad for the cinemas, right? Because I actually work closely with our cinema because they're sponsors of our thing. I really feel bad for them when when they make trash movies because people don't go see them. So that means that those people, they can't make money, they can't pay their wages, they can't pay for the, you know, it's all a downhill spiral. Like if the tickets don't sell, a lot of people don't earn money, you know, earn a living. And you know, it's been like that with comics. That's why people are going, you know, comics broke me. It's because, well, you did silly things to comics, and you know the characters, and now people don't want them, and now you're going, please buy our comics. Yeah, well, you can't because you chase your customers away. You know, they wanted meat in their buns, but you gave them beans.
Yeah, you're just destroying yourself because you're destroying what was helping you. You know?
Yeah. All right. So thank you for joining us today. I really enjoyed this, Austin. It's great to see you. Great, finally to meet you. Yeah. And you know, like the guy said before, like you know, well, it's your family member, but I'm sure there's a lot of people that are out there that have your work that they might not know about. You know, because a lot of times, I mean, I talk to people and I don't know them, but I know their work. You know, and I've read their work and such. So awesome! Thank you for being with us and taking the time out. So thank you guys. Like and subscribe. And we've got some more awesome people coming up tomorrow and next week. I think I overbooked myself this week. I put in 5 in a row. It's like I should only be doing 2, but like that's why I got exhausted. But bear with me. Thank you for being with us, and please like and subscribe. As I said, tomorrow we'll have I think it's Greg Harms on, and also we're doing another live stream for the Kickstarter. But if you are out there, check out. I think it's if I remember right, this is the page for. If you look on Facebook, this is Austin's Facebook, so you can Arts and Illustrator, so you can check it out there. Also, you can see. I think you can get a hold of him through Writings and Comics, if not direct. Is there any website they can go to that you have?
I have. I have a Wix website that has a lot of my artwork to it as well. I know Instagram has a direct link to it on my bio information. I think there might be one on Facebook as well, but I know for a fact that Instagram does definitely have one. So you can click the link and it takes you right to my website where you can see just an array of pencils, inks, old school media, traditional art, and all that. So.
Awesome. Well, check out, put that the text that's in the bottom there into your Facebook. I'm sure you'll be able to do in the search engine. You'll be able to find it out. All right. See you next time, guys. And wherever you are, be well and safe. Be well and be safe. Thanks, Austin.
Thank you. Bye-bye.